It's terrifying. There are no slouches at the World Championship. Everyone here has earned their way through either a single tournament performance where it's really a lot of killers, or a sustained performance throughout the season, which is never easy. So all of these players have their work cut out for them, especially because they're in a pod with Simon Nielsen.
Oh yeah, totally. You can see the players there, absolutely. Sitting down for draft here this morning, no matter how many times you've done it at a pro tour or an event of this level, the nerves always strike you as you sit down for a very, very important moment. There's a look at Simon Nielsen right there, and he will be our featured drafter here this morning. 6 top finishes to his name. Of course, also the champion of Pro Tour Modern Horizons 3, so riding high on that coming into this tournament, your last Pro Tour champion, reigning player of the year, leading the player of the year race. Simon Nielsen does not know how to lose at Magic the Gathering. Well, it's not just going to be us bringing you all of the action here at World Championship 30. Let's meet the rest of the broadcast team who'll be bringing you all the plays from our feature match area. Welcome back to Paul Cheon, who'll be once again in the booth with Marshall Sutcliffe, as well as Ailey Loney and Corey Baumeister. Some great pairs in the booth for us this weekend. I am so very excited for draft here this morning, so let's get ready for draft here at World Championship 30. I'm going to throw it on over to Marshall and Paul, who happens to currently be #1 ranked in Limited on Arena. Hey, Marshall, what's your current ranking? Just curious.
That's how we got him in here. They compared his ranking to my ranking, and we're like, we need him back in the booth. Paul, welcome back.
It's good to be back.
It's great to see you. And, of course, we're going to be bringing you coverage of the first draft here at World Championship 30 momentarily. We're going to be following along with Simon Nielsen. As you may know, structurally speaking, from a tournament perspective, these draft rounds are even more important than they normally are at a regular Pro Tour, as there's one fewer round and still 3 rounds of draft.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, you know, oftentimes you can kind of, in a normal Pro Tour level event, you can go 1 and 2, and maybe you can come back with your constructed decks. Here, that's a big problem. There's 2 less rounds in the entire tournament, meaning the drafts are just equally or just that much more important. And for us, limited aficionados, we love that.
Yeah, we love that. So big pressure in the feature. And of course, you want to get off to that good start if you're sitting in Simon Nielsen. See, take a look at the draft pod here. You know, it could have been worse for Simon. You know, no Hall of Famer sitting right next to him. You know, that's the kind of thing that you sit down at a World Championship event and, you know, it's not uncommon to look around and go, yep, I know all these people. And that one wasn't too bad.
Yeah, but you at the same time, as Monty alluded to earlier, this is the World Championship, right? A lot of people are going to put a ton of effort. We're talking about $1 million prize pool for the entire event. Everybody's going to have 30, 40, 50 drafts under their belt. So even if you don't see a Kai or anybody, you know, some other Hall of Famers on your table, you still know it's going to be a tough draft and you have to give it your all.
Yeah, that's right. So we'll see how things go for Simon Nielsen. He's going to be our feature drafter. Obviously, I guess, if you if you keep up on this stuff, you know how this works. Simon has just been winning everything forever, and he is, in fact, making a run for back-to-back Player of the Year here at this tournament. He's in pretty good position to do so, but it all starts here, a World Championship perhaps in the works for him, as well as that. He just keeps stacking up the accolades. But at the end of the day, it all comes down to preparation, execution, how well you play, and a little bit of luck doesn't help. It doesn't hurt either.
And if there's a player who kind of fits all of those qualities, it's Simon Nielsen.
There he is. All right, we're going to have one of our head judges calling this draft.
That's Abe Corrigan. Marked 1A. Open the pack. Remove the 14 cards contained within. Please be sure that you don't accidentally leave any cards inside. Count out those cards face down on the table. Be sure that you have 14 cards. Call for a judge if you have anything else.
Of course, and there is going to be calling this for high-level events like this. They're structured. You don't just kind of open them up and look at your cards when you feel like it and take however long you want. They're timed. And you'll hear him prompting the players to make their picks as we go.
Please pick up the pack. You
All
have
right, here we
40
go.
seconds.
Pack one, pick one for Simon Nielsen. Let's see what he can find.
First thing you want to do is just look at the rares and the uncommons. There's so many powerful uncommons.
Something that starts with
set.
Overlord would be. No.
Overlord would be great.
Yep.
Okay.
He's got Reluctant Role Model pulled to the front, as well as Unable to Scream. Anything else standing out? Oh, Break Down the Door.
Yeah, I love Break Down the Door. I think that card is just just absolutely incredible. It's just super flexible. There's a lot of artifacts and enchantments that you want to kill in the set. And I also like starting either green or red. I think they're the two best colors in the set. So that's something that I would be looking at. Now, most people are going to see a reluctant role model, and they're like, oh, it's a rare. I got to take it. I just find survival is mostly a trap, and it just doesn't happen as often as you'd like. It's a good card, but I'd much rather take a removal spell or break down the door.
Or break down the door. Yeah, there was also a Glassworks there, but he did go with unable to scream.
Please pick up
so
the pack. You have 35 seconds.
Here.
Yeah, that is interesting. I mean, unable to scream is fantastic, and it's blue's best removal spell. I don't think blue's had a removal spell this good at common in a while.
Not at 1 mana.
I mean, blue Swords to Plowshares.
Blue Swords to Plowshares. You know, a certain friend of ours always likes to joke about that, but this time it actually feels kind of true-ish.
Yeah.
Ooh, speaking of good removal spells, there's a Scorching Dragonfire pulled to the front now for Simon.
Yeah, great pack here. Ton of removal. There's also a Bottomless Pool in the pack.
5 seconds.
There is a Monster Emergence, but I think you're just going to take the Dragonfire here. It's just so good, so efficient. The Exile clause is very, very important in this format as well. So I just think starting with the Scorching Dragonfire, you just can't go wrong with that.
Yeah, trapped in the screen is Scorching Dragonfire, kind of the top 2 removal spells in the set.
Pack. You have 30 seconds.
A nice pickup there for Simon Nielsen. Now, a little concerning for him, though. He is blue and red currently. Let's call it not a favored archetype among top players. It's a very difficult one to make work. Ooh, but he got a Patchwork Beastie here. And anything else even? Oh, there's a Turn Inside Out there as well.
Yeah, there's a Cursed Windbreaker, which is very good, particularly in blue-green because you have a lot of the manifest payoffs. But I don't think it's enough better. It's a blue card, but I just love Patchwork Beastie. It's just amazing. 1 drop. It just goes in basically every deck. You're never going to cut this card. It's just a 1-mana 3/3. Delirium is just so easy to turn on when you're green.
That's right. One of the better 1-drops that you can see. I think I would take Optimistic Scavenger over it as a scary
pick up the pack.
turn
You have
1 play, but
25
BC's
seconds.
solid.
Yes, that's probably the best 1-drop, yeah.
All right, let's see what he's got for pick 4. 3 different colors so far out of 3 picks, but that's okay.
I see a Final Vengeance, which is good. But, oh, that's a pretty late Painter Studio. I absolutely love this card. This card just gives you so much value. It allows you to push through for extra damage. I think I would take this. And this seems to me like it's a pretty decent sign that red might be open. We got the second pick, Dragonfire. And Painter Studio is certainly a card that I've taken pretty early before. Seeing it 4th could be a sign. So now you're pretty happy. You have 2 red cards out of your 4. So you're at least red. Got to figure out what your second color is going to be.
Yeah, Defaced Gallery, the other room, does a lot of work on that. Oh, look at this. Fear of Being Hunted, 5th pick.
Yeah.
Wow, red's open.
Red is absolutely open. And when you're seeing a pack like this, there's also Sporogenic Infection. So what oftentimes it's easy to just slam the card you know you're going to take, which is going to be the Fear of Being Hunted here. But keep an eye out for the other cards and the other colors that you see that are good. So in this case, Sporogenic Infection is a good card. So you go, well, you know what? Maybe red-black is a color combination that it could potentially end up in, given that pack.
Yeah, because right now, if red's going to flow like this, Simon will be happy to commit to red and kind of delay the decision of where he wants to go unless pushed in a direction.
Right, absolutely.
This is a weaker pack here.
I don't know if I'm happy playing with almost any card in this pack.
Yeah, these are not what we would call playable. Is that a Smoky Lounge?
Yeah, that's the card that has the highest upside,
right?
Because you already have a Painter Studio, you have an Unable to Scream. If you do end up in the blue-red Runes deck and it's really open, this is certainly the type of card that you would like if you do end up in blue-red.
Yeah, and this is what you'll see top players do, is even if Simon's not planning on playing Smoky Lounge, it's the upside pick. It's the one that has the highest upside. And this is another mediocre pack for him. Creeping Peeper and a Bedhead Beastie. Fear of Lost Teeth he's pulled to the front, but he doesn't have any black cards.
Right, there's a Winter's Intervention, which I don't mind. It's a nice way to kill Gremlin Tamer if you don't have enough removal spells. Fear of Lost Teeth is also fine. Now, noting that in this best of 3 environment, Pyroplasm is a very powerful sideboard card. Also a card to consider, but pretty weak pack overall.
Pick up the pack. You have 15 seconds.
He did take the Fear of Lost Teeth, so perhaps red not quite as open as we thought, though we'll see how this goes. For blue cards, was that Fear of Falling or Fear of Failed Test? Either way, not super exciting for him.
Yeah, there's a Fear of Failed Test. There's a couple of lands here, the blue-red land and the red-green land. Either is a fine option, but noting that there are 2 white cards in that pack, 2 commons that you could be happy playing with. Given that you're red, red-white is a fairly strong color combination, so could have maybe speculated on a white card there.
Well, he could take a red-white duel here or a ragged playmate, a fine playable. Just take that.
Yeah,
Draft.
I think at this point, this pack's not going super well, and you just need to just keep taking red cards that you think have a shot of
pick up the
making it
pack.
into
You
your
have
deck.
10 seconds.
So that's another Winter's
5
Intervention. Now,
seconds.
it's not like a premium card or anything like that, but it's a solid removal spell that you can just play and just
Draft.
keep taking the cards in
passed
case
4
you can
cards
pivot
to your
into
left.
red-black. Because red-black is a strong color combination. It has excellent
pick up the
synergies.
pack. You have 5
so
seconds.
right now, Simon's just a bunch of red cards and then just kind of trying to figure out what your second
Look
color
at this, turn inside out. Very
Draft.
late.
Oh, yeah, that is amazing.
Pass 3
This,
cards to your
turn
left.
inside out
Good
is the best
combat
combat trick at
Yeah.
common in the entire
Pick up the
set.
pack. You
Getting
have
that late
5
is a pretty good
seconds.
sign.
That was a better card than his last 3 picks.
I mean,
Like,
pack one's been kind of
Draft.
bad
Yeah.
in general.
Please pass 2 cards to your left. Pick up the pack. You have 5
all
seconds.
right. Well, it does look like he's on the I'm going to be red most likely and then
Draft,
figure out the rest
and
later
please pass
plan.
the last
He
card.
still has a patchwork VC, but there's been no green at all.
Yeah, zero
This
green.
time,
Wow,
players,
we're
you
not-
will have a
and
total
green is
of 60
extremely deep,
seconds to
Marshall.
review your
Yeah.
draft picks. That time
4
begins
2-mana
now.
plays that you can take: Monstrous Emergence, Wary Watchdog, Manifest Dread. There's Mythic Common, Spineseeker Centipede, our favorite.
Right.
And we haven't seen anything remotely
Yeah.
showing us that green is open. So I think green is definitely not on the table. And if that's the case, you have to decide between red-blue, which is a weaker color combination, but he has maybe a slightly better card because he has the Unable to Scream, or perhaps move into red-black. But right now, I think Simon's just looking to be as open as possible. If he opens an Overlord of the Mistmoors, he's just going to slam it and
Yeah.
move into red-white.
That's right.
kind of where he's at right now.
The awkward thing would be is if he opened a great green rare. Right? Something really awesome, especially like a double green, something.
Like a Tyvar.
Right.
Yeah.
Like that would be really tough for him because he knows that green is not going to be coming in pack 3. Theoretically, he could get hooked up for 1 pack, which that can be enough. Like
Right.
you said, green's very deep.
And you can
even
just get
some of
all the red
commons are
cards,
just
though.
fine. And yeah, you just pick all the red cards, but he is a little directionless though, because the black cards are the
It's
ones
time.
that he has
Please
the
return your
most
picks
of.
to a face-down
They're
pile
not
in
very
front of
Nothing
yourself.
exciting there.
No, they're not. But, you know, and the thing is, he didn't really see any of the sacrifice
players,
cards. Right? That's
Exactly.
what
pick
you're
up
looking
the
for.
envelope
You want the
marked
uncommon
1B.
creatures that let you sacrifice permanents.
Please open
But
it. Ensure
there
that you
were,
remove
notably,
all of the
in the
cards.
first few packs, there were some Final Vengeances.
out
They didn't table,
14
but
cards
he did
face
get them
down on the
past to
table.
him.
That's
so
true.
there is a shot that maybe black could be on the table here. But like I said, right now, he's going to keep himself super flexible. If he opens a Tyvar, he's probably just going to take it.
Okay, let's see what happens here. This is where option 1 for Simon is really powerful card that puts him in a direction. Option 2 is just
Players,
more good
please
red
pick up the
cards.
pack.
Like,
You
you
have
can just
40
keep delaying the
seconds.
decision. Ooh, there's some good stuff. That was an Oblivious Bookworm at the front.
There's the Centipede. But I see an Irreverent Gremlin, and that's just a premium 2-mana creature.
Okay, yeah, hiding
So
right
I would be
there.
shocked if, unless you have a rare, there's just not that many cards you're just going to take over the Gremlin anyways. That card's just phenomenal. It's a cheap, evasive creature, lets you cycle through your deck, gets you Delirium. I just don't think there's, the only other card that's on the power level or better is the Oblivious Bookworm, but that's so far removed from where he's at
Right.
that I just
That's
don't think
2
that's
colors away.
right.
That's really tough.
5 seconds.
Reverend Gremlin's really good, though.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And he's looking
Draft.
at the foyer
Please
there.
shuffle and pass.
I've
and
tried
lay
that
out
card. It's
13
just a
cards
little
to your
too
right.
slow.
I want it to work. I want it to work. But even though this format's pretty deep and the games play out
Please
in
pick up the pack. You
variant
have
ways,
35
you still
seconds.
can't do 4 mana kind of
Oh,
do nothing.
yeah.
Like that,
Yeah.
That's a tough one.
I think it's a good sideboard option.
Razorkin Needlehead pulled to the front. Is that a Doomsday Excruciator?
Yeah,
he
so-
says, we'll see you later, Chief.
Yeah,
Oh,
some
that's
members
funny.
of their team did
Did you see him point at it?
Yeah, might
That's
have
funny.
a Doomsday Excruciator in their deck.
That's really funny.
So there's a Razorkin Needlehead in this pack and a Most Valuable Slayer.
Ooh.
And right now, Simon is mostly mono-red.
5
So it
seconds.
looks like he's going to heavily skew his mana base to play the Needlehead. I'm generally not a fan of the Needlehead just because I don't like
Draft.
double-colored 2-drops.
Please shuffle
Because
and
you
lay
just
out
rarely
12
play them
cards
on
to your
turn
right.
2 on
Almost
a lot of
never.
instances. Whereas the Most Valuable Slayer, he has a fear of being hunted. That's
Dude,
an
that combo
amazing
is
combo.
gross.
pack.
It
You
is
have 30
insane,
seconds.
and so that's something that I would consider, but it looks like Simon's prioritizing being aggressive. I mean, look at the start, right?
He just found a Disturbing Mirth. And a Scorching
Oh.
Dragonfire. Well, here's a decision point.
Yeah, this is a big, big decision point because, of course, Dragonfire is the best common in the set, right? And it's your mono red. It's really, really easy. But if you're in red black, Disturbing
Mirth
Mirth
is
is a
awesome.
better card, right? Disturbing Mirth is a better
5
card.
seconds.
It's one of the
A
best.
little.
It's one of the fine. It's a lot better. It's one of the best signposts on commons in the entire
Is
set.
it a lot
so.
better? I think I would
Draft,
take the Scorching
please shuffle
Dragonfire.
and lay out
Okay.
11 cards.
This,
to your right.
this looks like Simon wants to grab onto a direction.
Right.
Right. He wants to say, okay, I've got some black
Please pick
support
up the
cards.
pack. You have
Nothing
25 seconds.
good, particularly Fear of Lost Teeth and Winter's Intervention aren't exactly the home runs for that. But this does set him on a more distinct path than what he was on. Hey,
Right.
and there's sporogenic infection here too. That's a good backup.
Yeah, and Sporogenic Infection, just a solid removal effect in general, but in red-black it really shines because not only do you just get to kill a creature, you now
5
have an
seconds.
enchantment left over to sacrifice to your Final Vengeances or Sawblade Skin Rippers or anything like that.
Draft.
There's no chance
Please
he
shuffle
wields the
and lay
Mirth
out
if he
10
takes the
cards to
Scorching
your right.
I think
Dragonfire
it's
there, right?
highly unlikely. We
Okay.
didn't see him table any of the Final Vengeances.
Because there is only one deck that wants it.
Please pick up the
Like,
pack. You have
nobody splashes
25
for it.
seconds.
Like,
That is true.
Very narrow, but still, this is
Right.
World Championship. Like,
I mean, somebody's just going to take it.
yeah, somebody's going to be like, yeah, nah. Ooh, was that Midnight Mayhem?
Yeah. So now it's like if I took the
Yeah.
Scorching Dragonfire, you could take the Midnight Mayhem.
Right,
here, right? Because
right.
that's one of the best Boros uncommons.
But he
5
made that
seconds.
choice, and
He did.
he's just going to have to take Violent Urge, which is like fine.
It's fine. It's a little bit harder to get delivered
Draft.
in red-black, just because you're
Please
not really
shuffle and pass
manifesting.
9
You're just going
cards
to
to
need a
your
bunch
right.
of sacrifice effects and a bunch of innocuous rats to get there.
I always feel bad for Violent Urge because Turn Inside Out just kind of
Please
pumps
pick
it,
up the
you
pack.
know?
You have
It's like,
10
hi, I'm a
seconds better.
common. I'm just better than you.
It's much better.
It's like, come on. Ooh, there's a Murder.
And hand
And
that
Hand
fade.
feeds.
So,
So
murder,
you were talking about the mana situation, Paul.
yeah, so I think in
5
general,
seconds.
Murder might be a slightly better card. I actually think it's kind of close. Double black is a big thing. But if you
Yeah.
notice, Simon Nielsen
Draft.
has Razorkin Needlehead in his
shuffle
deck.
and
And he really
pass
wants to
8
skew his
cards
mana
to your
base
right.
where it's nearly mono-red. Maybe 10-7, maybe 11-6 for Mountains versus
Please
Swamps.
pick up the
So
pack.
it
You
makes
have
sense to
20
take the hand that
seconds.
feeds here because he thinks Murder is just not going to be the type of card that you can cast that easily. Also, red-black has a ton of removal. Like, Murder is just not even that good.
Look,
Oh,
Monkey
yes.
Toy in the house. Clockwork Percussionist.
I mean, this
Love this one.
This little one drop.
5 seconds.
When I first played this format, I was just like, this part's probably fine. It's one of the best commons in the set.
It really is.
It's
It's
insane,
draft.
especially in red
Please
black.
pass 7
Especially
cards
in
to
red
your
black.
Perfect spot for it.
So many ways to sacrifice it. Turn 1 Percussionist, you can sack it
Please
to the
pick up the
Disturbing
pack. You have
Mirth.
15
It
seconds.
works extremely well with Turn Inside Out as well, right? You get to trade up, you get a card, and you still get to manifest. It just does everything.
5
Late-ish
seconds.
veteran survivor, but that ship has sailed. Simon planted his flag when he took that Disturbing
Draft.
Mirth, and
Pass
he's just
6
going to have
cards to your right.
see what the cards bring him here. We're kind of nearing the end of
Please pick
Pack
up the
2.
pack.
We're
You
over
have 10
halfway through it
seconds.
at this point. Oof.
Wow,
I
that-
am not seeing a
5
lot of red
seconds.
and black cards
No.
in that pack.
And the
Paul.
Cursed Windbreaker table, that's a little surprising. That
Oh,
card's
yeah.
very, very
Draft.
good in
That card's
blue-green.
solid. Yeah.
Please pass
yeah.
5 cards to
He's
your
going
right.
to take the Cheerleader.
Yeah, I think Simon's saying, well, look, if there's like a tiny chance
Please pick up the
I
pack.
can
You have
also
10
pivot
seconds.
into white. Let's say I open an Overlord of the Mistmoors. Maybe I'll just go ahead and swap over to red-white instead. Because if you look, he only picked up 2 black cards in this pack, right? He did have a shot at a Murder,
Draft.
right? But the thing is, the
Pass
problem with
4
this
cards
pack,
to your right.
outside of the Mirth, is he didn't get any sacrifice outlets. He got the 1
pick up the
Percussionist.
pack. You have
He
5
needs
seconds.
things to sacrifice to the Mirth and other ways to sacrifice permanents. That's the way a black-red deck really functions.
Draft.
Otherwise, it's just not going
Pass
to...
3
The
cards to your
power in
right.
black-red lies in its synergies. So you
Pick
need
up
the
the
sack
pack.
outlets.
You have 5 seconds.
Where are these Final Vengeances? He really needs those too. This
Draft.
third pack is really going to dictate
Pass 2
this
cards to your
deck
right.
because right now this is a pile of reasonably powerful black and red cards.
Yeah, I will say the only thing Simon, I think, really has going for him here is just the fantastic
the pack,
curve.
you
He's
have
got like
5
all
seconds.
2 drops, right? It's a ton of
Yes.
2 drops, some removal, and some combat tricks, and
Draft.
that's always been
Pass
a
the
recipe
last
for success.
card.
It can kind of, even in a rough draft, that can kind of
All
get
right,
you out
players,
of it.
At this
But
point,
yes,
you will
he's
have
definitely
a
lacking in power.
90-second
You're big on
period
curve in
to
this
review your
format.
picks.
Oh,
I will give
absolutely.
you a 30-second warning.
With the existence of the rooms in
That
the
timing
format,
is now.
you just almost never run out of things to do with your mana. So it's so important to play to the board and make sure that you have enough things to do early. Now, I'm not saying you have to have 8 2-mana creatures, but some combination of creatures plus removal spells I think is extremely important just to get to the late game. Because if you do run against that Boros deck or whatever, like you're going to need to be able to match them curve for curve because if you have enough rooms or other ways to get ahead on cards, eventually you're going to take over. So just make sure you curve out well.
Yeah, he's going over. His curve is wonderful.
Oh,
Lots of 1s and 2s here. But this synergy stuff is not there right now for this red-black deck. He is woefully light on anything that, I mean, does he have anything that sacrifices? He's got the
mirth.
Disturbing Mirth.
Yeah, he's got the mirth, and
kind of want a few other things here.
Yeah, not enough.
Also, this is a particularly aggressive leaning version. Lots of combat tricks and a low curve.
Yeah, so
maybe you don't need quite as many.
Yeah, that's kind of the backup plan. I think
remaining.
Simon, if he still sees a bunch of percussionists and stuff, he's just going to slam them. Really, really great with the mirth, but I think he's still looking for Final Vengeance at common. That's the best one, right? And then at uncommon, we're looking at cards like Saw Blade, Skin Ripper, even a Diversion Specialist, right? Just if he just wants to have something. And not only that, he doesn't really have that many 4-drops. So it would be a fine card to play kind of at the top end of your mana curve here.
Oof. I think if I were Simon, I would be feeling it right now because he is going to be really at the mercy of the table and the packs here. This is a setup that definitely has potential, but if the cards don't get opened or if somebody else is in this deck or something, he can end up with a pretty
Please
underpowered
return all
deck
of your
for the
picks
format.
once again to a single face-down pile.
I will not want to be red-black, no sacrifice.
At this time, players, please open
I will
your
say,
last
though,
remaining
again,
envelope.
we talked about how just this
Please
is
take
a
out and count out
World
14
Championship level
cards
draft. This
face
is not your best of one arena draft where you just get absolutely everything.
Right.
So, you know, like no draft is going to look perfect. And I think given what Simon has seen so far, I think he's drafted his seat reasonably well. I think the only close pick was probably the Mirth versus the Dragonfire, and then possibly the Razorkin Needlehead versus the Most Valuable Slayer.
Let's see how this pans out for him here. If he can pick up a few Final Vengeance and maybe a nice payoff for this
players
deck.
at this time, please pick up the pack. You have 40 seconds.
That would really transform what he's got. Let's see what he opens here. That is Rip, so that's not it.
That's not it. Oh,
another turn inside out.
Oof, this is a rough
Wow.
pack. I mean,
it's more of what he already has.
Yeah, and here's the thing, right? Trapped into Screen is the best card in this pack. He does have an Acrobatic Cheerleader and a Veteran Survivor and not a ton of Great Black, so that is one option. The other option, though, is just turn inside out. And that's a nice, responsible pick. You're 100% red. Turn inside out's great. Look at his deck, right? It's like 8 2-drops and a percussionist. I think turn inside out's just the responsible thing to do
here. It is.
Here,
this is the adult choice for sure.
This is a player of the year pick.
That is. that is a top-tier drafter pick because you're not happy.
No.
That was supposed to be a mythic rare that you hoped for.
Or a signpost uncommon.
Yeah, just an uncommon would be good. There's a lot of them that would help him out here. Oh, speaking of, Undead Sprinter goes right to the front.
Yeah, and there's also a Percussionist, which is obviously very good in this format. But the Sprinter's just better.
Sprinter's like a bigger version of that.
It's just a bigger, and every time I play with this card, I always go, oh, do I have to like go through hoops? No, you trade, and then you play it again. It's a 3/3
and it's bigger.
For 2 mana.
Yeah.
And it gets bigger. The card's absolutely insane, and exactly the type of card Simon wants. He's maybe hoping that he tables a Percussionist. No shot that happens, but you just take the Sprinter here.
Absolutely, yeah. The Percussionist ends up going into any red deck effectively.
Shuffle and
but Sprinter's great,
cards to your
and this lines up really well. You know, the echoes of the Mirth pick, you know, are being heard right now. And Undead Sprinter as a solid 2-drop aggressive rare in his colors is exactly right.
Ooh.
Was that a Fear of Being Hunted again?
That was a Fear of Being Hunted. Oh, and there's also
a
Final
Vengeance.
Ooh.
So now he has to decide between raw power and synergy plus power. Man, the first Final Vengeance will go so far for him here.
Yeah, I mean, Fear of Being Hunted is great. I would say that if Simon Nielsen took that Most Valuable Slayer earlier, I think a good shot you take Fear of Being Hunted. But I think Final Vengeance is the pick here because you picked up that Undead Sprinter. You have that Disturbing Mirth.
Shuffle and lay out 11
Disturbing
cards
Mirth
to
is
your
not that great if you can't sacrifice it,
Absolutely.
right? You need to be able to find ways to sacrifice it. And right now, Simon has almost no ways to do so.
Pick up the pack.
So I
You
think
have
you need to
25
take the Final
seconds.
Vengeance.
Simon's drafting really well and opening reasonably well. Oh, there's another Undead Sprinter.
What a pack,
and another
by the way.
Percussionist in this pack, too. That's the same choice he just had 2 picks ago.
Yeah, this not only that, but at the end there, that's a Razorkin Horde Caller.
Wow, and there's also a Fear of Lost Teeth here, too, so he's going to wheel something out of this pack, potentially.
Yeah.
You just got to go with the Sprinter, though,
Oh, yeah,
right?
you just slam the Sprinter. The Horde Caller is also fantastic. Being able to attack,
he could get that back.
being able to attack, make a token, sack the token for profit some other way is great, but
Please
Undead
pick up the
Sprinter is
pack.
just
You
the
have
perfect
25
card
seconds.
for a Rakdos aggressive deck.
If he does get something back out of that. Oh, there's another
Oh.
Final Vengeance there.
Okay, it's coming together. It's coming together.
Oh,
He
wow.
needed the sacrifice cards. Final Vengeance is a premium removal spell in black-red. It's just absolutely fantastic. And Simon being able to go double Final Vengeance, double Undead Sprinter in this pack,
Oh.
he needed this.
5
Good
seconds.
Lord, that is exactly what he needed to happen.
Draft.
Wow.
Please shuffle and lay out 9 cards to your left.
Unbelievable pack 3 here for Simon Nielsen. This is the opening
Please pick up
draft
the pack. You have 20
here at World
seconds.
Championship 30. We're watching Simon. There's another murder. He didn't take the first one. Oh, interesting. So Trial of Agony, much more castable than Murder.
Yeah.
Not the best card, but he is really aggressive, and this
5
kills
seconds.
a thing and makes another thing
Yeah.
unable to block. This is where you want it.
Yeah, so normally I hate this card, but in this deck
Draft.
it makes sense. He's got double
Please
Undead Sprinter.
shuffle and pass 8
9
cards to your
2-drops
left.
at this point. Really aggressive curve, so this is just a really great way to kind
Please
of
pick
close
up
out
the
the
pack.
game.
You have 20
Normally you would
seconds.
consider the murder, but again, Simon's mana is going to be probably skewed more towards red because of the Needlehead, so I think he also just doesn't need the removal, right?
Picked up a ticket booth there.
And I do like this card a fair amount.
I do too.
When I first played with this card, I was thinking, oh, 3 mana for a 2/2, that's pretty
5
bad.
seconds.
But the fact that Tunnel of Hate is a nice late game win condition, and in black-red, you can sack the room for value
Draft.
as well, just kind of puts it over
Please
the top.
shuffle
Yeah,
and
Tunnel
pass
of Hate
7
is
cards to
good.
your left.
Like,
Oh,
it
yes.
matters now.
Please pick
Like,
up the
you
pack. You
pay
have
that 6, and
15 seconds.
it affects the board in a big way. Can he pick up any other gifts? Well, he picked up another one.
Yeah, I imagine this is going to make its way into his deck. I just
Okay.
2 is like about
5
the number
seconds.
that I like for this card. At 3, all of a sudden you're just playing too many 3-mana 2/2s, but
Draft.
2 is totally fine.
Please pass 6 cards to your left.
Look at this pack. That is so good
This
for
is
where
better
he
than
was
the
at.
back. You
This
have
is better
10
than his
seconds.
first 2 packs.
Like,
Fine.
oh, that's incredible.
5
Fanatic of the
seconds.
Harrowing, sure.
Yeah, maybe a sideboard
Yeah,
type card.
something against
Draft.
something slow or whatever.
Pass 5
Like,
cards to your
jump
left.
scare. Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Just
Please
cut
pick
a
up the
jump scare.
pack.
I
You
guess he
have
figured
10
he's not going to
seconds.
play the Fanatic.
Right.
Oh, that's Fear of Lost Teeth.
Okay.
Very
Another-
nice.
5
another
seconds.
Fear of Lost Teeth wants to. This deck really does want to get aggressive, and so
Is that his
Draft.
second? He has 2 or maybe
Please
even
pass
3
4
Fear of
cards
Lost
to
Teeth
your
at
left.
this point.
yeah, and it's also not
Please
bad
pick up the
with
pack. You have
the
5
Disturbing
seconds.
Mirth. You just want to have some cheap creatures. Obviously, he'd prefer them to be percussionists, but can't just have it all.
Draft. Pass 3
You
cards
can
to
see
your left.
he's in the cutting
Please
phase.
pick up the pack. You
Scrabbling
have 5
Skullcrab
seconds.
isn't a card he's interested in, but he gets to take it. Okay, well, there's another Fear of Lost.
So
Draft.
many Lost Teeth.
Pass
All
2
the
cards
Lost
to your left. Please pick up the pack. You have 5 seconds.
Hey, you know, this deck, I think the clown just
Draft.
makes it in, right?
Please
Everything
pass
is a
the last
2/2.
card.
Yeah,
All right, players.
Absolutely everything in his deck is a
So I have a
2/2,
couple
so
of
it's
announcements
effectively a
before we
3-mana
can take our
4/3 in his
seats
deck.
for build.
Totally.
In just a moment here, you'll be receiving a
Vicious
deck
Clown
registration
play
sheet that
4
already
Fear
has
of
your
Lost
build
Teeth.
table number
Attack
written
you.
in.
So what do you think, Paul? One of the things that stood out to me, that was a responsible draft by a responsible drafter, right? The thing that stood out a lot was the mana considerations. You know, the murders that he saw, didn't even look at them.
Yeah. Well, especially in Rakdos, when you're drafting red-black, there's so much good removal. You just don't have to take something like a murder because all of a sudden, Final Vengeance goes from a card that maybe makes it into your deck into the best removal spell in your deck. And he ended up with a couple of those. So you just don't want to take that. You actually just want to make sure you prioritize the cheap creatures in your deck. And that's what he did. And of course, with the Razorkin Needlehead, he really wants to play a lot of mountains. So Murder's just going to be sitting in your hand. You're going to have 3 mountains and a swamp in play. And you're going to be like, why did I do this to myself?
Right.
I wish I just had a hand that feeds in play. And Simon, of course, taking the hand that feeds, just prioritizing his mana creep.
And you're thinking 10-7 is where he was aiming?
Yeah, but you know, it's weird because after pack 3, all of a sudden he got a bunch more black cards. So maybe it might go back to
Yep.
9-8. We'll see. I think
That's-
he would have loved a black-red land, for
Yep.
example. But, you know,
Let's
it
see
is
what he did. We get to take a look at the deck list right now, Paul. Ooh, very low curve. He's actually on 16 lands with 9 mountains. The Violent Urge did make it in, by the way. So, and all 3 Fear of Lost Teeth made it in also. And yeah, there's the Razorkin Needlehead there in the middle of the screen. The Infection, the Mirth, and the Vicious Clown is like his finisher somehow. I guess
Yeah.
he's got the rooms for that, but
I mean, I will say,
That's
you have
very low curve.
Yeah, very low curve, a bunch of Fear of Lost Teeth. I think he really wants to draw the face gallery to go with it so that the 1/1s actually do something. Super low curve, very, very aggressive, and a ton of removal. I normally don't play that many copies of Fear of Lost Teeth, but if you notice, Simon actually doesn't have that many creatures, so he kind of has to play them.
To turn those inside outs on.
Yeah, because if he doesn't play any Fear of Lost Teeth, we're looking at a deck with 11 creatures, which is really, really low. So he just wants to be able to curve out. Every now and then you're going to play the face gallery on turn 2, and sometimes you just need fodder to sacrifice to the Disturbing Mirth to draw cards. So every now and then you just play Disturbing Mirth, sack Fear of Lost Teeth, and that's a totally fine situation to be in as well.
What do you think of the deck overall?
I think Pack 3 saved Simon. I would say his deck was probably like a 4 out of 10. But with the double Undead Sprinter, which is fantastic in this deck, with this low curve, for the pod, probably like a 5.5 or a 6 out of 10.
Yeah, it ended up being pretty good, and everything's pointed in the same direction. It is not heavy on the sacrifice synergies, but it is heavy on the aggression, and these games could go very quickly. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, though, we'll be prepping to watch Simon pilot this very deck. Don't go anywhere.